5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hello and welcome, everyone. This is Truth, Beer, and Podsequences. This is the podcast where my co-host and I get together on a Tuesday at our gracious podcast host, BC's Bottle Lodge Montgomery, and we talk about all the Cincinnati-based craft beer podcasts that came out from the previous week. We certainly hope, when we put our own spin on these podcasts, we hope that there aren't too many consequences from the hosts of the other shows. It's all right. So far, so good.
It's been all right for a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good. I am Marco. I am a brewer and a bartender here locally, and I am joined by the best co-host in Podcastlandia.
I am Julia, and I am a drinker of all the craft beer here in the greater Cincinnati area, and I like to listen to way more podcasts than I actually have time for, but especially podcasts revolving around craft beer.
Yeah, me too.
Excellent.
Me too. We got producer Brian here today with us. Been a while for producer Brian.
Yep.
I did shout out BC's Bottle Lodge Montgomery. Run down here and get what you need, get what you know you want.
They have some really great summer beers up on the tap list right now.
Yes, they do.
Delicious stuff.
Yes, they do. So come on out and enjoy. Julia, no beer podcast would be a good beer podcast if they didn't have beer.
It's very, very true. And luckily, we both have beer in front of us. So, Marco, do you want to let everyone know what you are enjoying for the beginning of Truth, Beer, and Podsequences?
I will. This is no surprise to anybody who's been with us before, and thank you for those of you who have listened to the show before and hung out with us for a while or for a long time. Truly appreciate your listenership, and thank you to everyone who is new to the podcast. Welcome. I am drinking Rally Cap on the slow pour tap from Sonder Brewing in Mason.
So incredibly, incredibly good. I think that's going to be what I get next. I have in my glass Jackie O's Kind of Fuzzy. It is a wheat ale. It is 5.3%. It has a lovely, lovely light hint of peach to it, and it is perfect for today. It's mid-70s outside. The sun is shining. It is a gorgeous day to drink some light craft beers.
Wonderful day to drink, Julia.
Podcasts.
Yep.
We are a podcast about podcasts. So did you happen to listen to any Cincinnati-based craft beer podcasts in the last week or so?
I did, Julia.
All right, let's run down the list of what we're going to cover today. This one is from last week because it did not make our cutoff time. Sonder Stories, Chapter 94.
Oh, I listened to that.
Excellent. And then we also have, I think everyone's favorite, Shift Beers, Lawnmower Beers. Excellent. And rounding out today's podcast recap, Brew Sky's Happy Hour with, I'm not going to mention who they got to interview because, holy shit, it's a good one.
Yeah?
It's a good one.
I did listen.
Excellent. Let's get started with Sonder Stories because that came out technically last week. It just didn't make our listening cutoff.
Right.
Chapter 94. It is collecting movies, beers, and all kinds of good stuff with just a small group of the Sonder family. This episode had Justin, Danny, Jen, Jeff, and Macy. And it was awesome because it was very similar to Shift Beers. This episode was more of a conversation with friends. I'm sure they were drinking beers. They didn't really mention anything about what they were drinking. Yeah,
it was like Shift Beers, but without the burping, without talking about having sex with Beth's husband.
So if you look at Shift Beers as like a quote-unquote, air quotes for those of you not watching the Patreon live stream, if you look at Shift Beers as like an after dark podcast, this episode of Sonder Stories is that same idea, but during the daytime.
Right.
It would hit during when the kids' cartoons are normally on.
It would be like a sitcom about friends on HBO at night versus a sitcom about friends on network television.
Very true. Very true. So one of the things that they started off with this episode, talking about the difference between a collector and a hoarder.
Yeah.
Which I thought they made a really, really good argument about the difference between the two.
Mm-hmm.
Do you tend to be a collector or a hoarder? Do you kind of lean one way or another based on what their definition or what their kind of defining statement is?
I guess I don't really hold on to too many things. I guess one thing that would count would be barware, beer glasses. Beer glasses, sometimes wine glasses, unique glasses that would go on my shelving area that I have.
Do you hunt them out, or do you just happen to, like, if you see them?
Yeah,
Okay.
if I see them. They don't have to be branded. A lot of times, not branded is fine if I don't have that style of glassware.
Okay.
So non-branded is good. That way, if I ever have the need to serve a beer in a proper glassware, it doesn't need to be branded. It could be that particular style. I have them. They're not as organized. And really, the reason why they're not as organized is because when other people in my home put away dishes, they don't stick to any particular organization or format.
They don't do the adult Tetris to where they make sure.
So they just put them up in that area. I have a pretty big area of shelving units for these things. So I just put them up. Maybe barware, glasses.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I used to... Well, I feel like I toe the line between collecting and hoarding some things. My Josh would say I hoard more than collect. I'll fully admit I have a scarcity mindset. It's one of those, if I don't have it, I might need it in the future. But if I need it in the future, I can just buy it. I can just get it. I don't need to hold on to all this stuff. But glassware is a good one.
I guess one thing that I hoard is receipts.
Okay.
So I always ask for a receipt. I always put my receipts in my back left pocket. Okay. And I always take and I throw my receipts on a shelf in my bedroom. And all the receipts just pile up and pile up and pile up and pile. Look like a pile of trash. And then eventually, maybe like one time a year, I'll go through all the receipts. I'll throw them all away, and the shelf will look pristine. And then
you pull the stack of receipts out of your pocket, and it starts
starts over again. There have been maybe 3 times in my whole adult life where having that receipt actually was of value.
I have hit that point before, which is why I am more of a hoarder, because you might need that thing, and I hate digital age a lot of times.
I don't know why I would need my gas receipt.
But you never know.
Right.
To prove you didn't commit a murder a county over on that day, because on that time you were getting gas, and the receipt proves it.
Well, so would my bank statement.
Exactly, yeah. But there's no, right, but no, I see where you're coming from. What was that show? I don't think it lasted very long. Frisco County, Briscoe County, something where the main character always asks for a receipt.
Oh, I don't know.
So I kind of made a list of some of the collections that the folks at Sonder Stories have. And if you're new to the show, part of what we do is we may not tell you exactly what they said.
What do you mean, Julia?
We're hoping to pique your interest enough to make you say, that's interesting. What else did they say about this, or did they really say this, so that you listen to them? Because these podcasts that we talk about, them creating content allows us to do the thing that we are doing right now that we love and have so much fun with. So the collections that were mentioned
I'll
in
fill
this
in any
segment
of the
Sonder
blanks
Stories.
if you have any missing.
Yeah, so for Jeff, bubblegum, rocks, and marbles, but only shooters, not any marble, just shooters. Macy.
Oh, wait a minute. You forgot about once he wears a hole in a sock, he pairs them together, and he keeps that as a collection.
So I had that miswritten down. So for Macy, I had her collections were rock candy and orphaned socks, but I must have meant the orphaned socks thing before
Jeff Parker.
Jeff. So thank you for correcting my notes, which, as you know, I take extensive notes, but they're not always legible.
That's okay.
I guess you could say. So Jen, the only thing she tends to collect are stress balls, and the harder the stress ball, the better. So like a lacrosse ball is more of her kind of stress ball than like a tennis ball or one of those like the actual squishy
the squeeze
balls.
One, the stress balls.
Danny, I'll let you go with this one because, I mean, Danny's been on Sonder Stories since the beginning, so we all know the collections that he has because they've been brought up on multiple episodes. So you want to cover Danny and Justin?
So Danny, he says he's a collector because he has a little bit of a beer cellar, and then he collects precious moments in curio cabinets.
Yeah, which kind of surprised me, but those that is like the definition of a collectible art. Those little precious moments figurines, yeah.
And then for Justin, he's a little bit of a collector of shoes.
Yes.
Collects shoes.
Absolutely.
And then he collects the souvenir cups when he goes to baseball games. He keeps those.
Yep. There's some cool ones. Have you seen the picture of like the
bats?
I'm
Have
assuming
you
it's
seen the beer bats?
The beer. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, those are the kind of things that Justin sees and goes, I need it, and I'm holding on to it forever.
He also did back in the 90s collect Robert Kincaid posters.
I mean, the Artist of Light, the Master of Light,
Artist
of Light. I think, yeah. I mean, good-looking art, so why not? They also had a really cool discussion about cellaring beer, since you mentioned that Danny is kind of a collector of beer. Is cellaring a beer because that's something that is designed to be consumed? Is that more of a collecting kind of thing, or is that more of a hoarding kind of thing? Really, really interesting nuance there.
Yeah.
That I feel like hits their unique qualifiers for certain things, touch points that Sonder Stories is incredibly good at.
And they are. And
Yeah.
I want everyone to listen to the episode, so I'm not going to fully explain everything.
Right. No. Right.
Now,
it was a very cool discussion.
One thing that didn't come up on the show, but is related in a way, is that Danny's collection did come up very useful. What was it, 2 years ago, when our friend the gnome was doing a vertical of thunder snow.
Correct.
And Danny was able to fill in a gap.
A gap that the gnome had. They didn't mention this in this particular episode.
Right, they didn't, but that was a very pertinent part of where collecting or hoarding, whatever you want to call, it's like those
cellaring
3 times
beer.
those receipts came in valuable.
Exactly.
Again, with his beer fridge.
This. Exactly. Because, who ever thought about, cellaring thunder snow? Freaking Danny and the gnome.
Yeah.
Or like, we're doing this. So really, really cool. They moved on to movies, talking about a lot of movies, their favorite movies, but they touched on movies that they've never seen that are typical, either, I don't want to say cult classics, but the classics that, again, air quotes for the non-live stream viewers, everybody has seen.
Right.
And some of those, not going to go over all of them, but some of the ones that kind of surprising, like
The Dark Crystal.
The Dark Crystal. Danny has never seen All Dogs Go to Heaven or Empire Records.
Macy hasn't seen The Adventures of Remo Williams.
It's true. And Jeff has not seen Lost Boys, even though he's a huge fan of like every single actor and actress that is in Lost Boys.
Right.
Yeah. So definitely check out the episode to hear what everyone else has not seen, so you can be screaming at your car radio, your phone, whatever you listen to your podcast on, just like I did. Like, what do you mean you've never seen this? Come on.
Big Trouble in Little China.
What? Why?
To everybody who has not seen Big Trouble in Little China,
watch it.
Go watch Big Trouble in Little China.
Okay, so I'm going to call you out, Marco, or I'm going to kind of ask you, is there a movie that everyone has seen that you have not? And I'll say in its entirety, because sometimes you'll see like a portion of it, but a movie that everyone has seen start to finish that you have never seen start to finish.
I don't know if it came up on the show, but I thought it did.
I think it did a while
Reservoir
back,
Dogs.
Okay.
I've never seen that.
I've never seen it either. I've also never seen Top Gun. But that, oh God. Marco just took off his headset. He is walking toward... Oh my God, I just offended him. I'm sorry. Marco, come back. I'll watch it tonight. No, I'll be too tired when I get home after recording. I'll watch it tomorrow. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
What are you talking about, Julia?
I've never seen it.
I watched it again like 2 weeks ago.
I'm sorry.
I had to explain. Okay, I'll explain.
You had to explain the
Why I watched
all-men
it again 2 weeks.
volleyball thing. Like, I know the pop culture references to a lot of
so
this
the
stuff.
reason why I watched it again...
Because you're going to see Maverick?
It was because I told a joke that my oldest daughter laughed at. And
then said she didn't get.
Well, it's not that she didn't get it. It said it had two meanings. Okay, so my oldest daughter, Alicia, was in the car with me a couple weeks back. And we were pulling out of Buffalo Wild Wings, and there was this Canadian goose that was in the middle of the street.
Fuck the Cobra chickens.
And I stopped, and I went, "Talk to me, goose." And my daughter, daughter just laughed. Like she was dying laughing. But it was because that's the goose.
It's a literal.
And she didn't know I was doing Top Gun. I was quoting Top Gun.
I know that Goose is a character in the movie, but I would not have gotten
an actual goose, though.
Yeah.
In the movie.
Oh, well, shit. Maybe I do need to watch it.
Yeah, check it out.
Okay, all right. Yeah. It was a really fun conversation between this group. So I don't want to say there's not a lot to talk about, but we don't want to tell you everything that they did in the episode because we want you to listen to the episode. So the last talking point that I'll mention is one of the other things that they kind of went around the round table on is what era, like if you could live in any era. I
feel like they've asked this question before.
They did. I went back. They their third anniversary episode, part 4, which was episode 82.
Yeah.
They asked. It was when the Property Brothers or the Super Mario Delivery Brothers were on. They asked that question. All I'm going to say on that point. Danny stayed consistent between the 2 episodes with his answer, so he knows exactly where he would if you picked him up today and dropped him anywhere in time. He knows exactly where he would be.
Do a little dance, make a little love, get down tonight.
And that's what I had written down for Sonder Stories, chapter 94.
Well, why don't we close the book on it?
Sounds good. It was a really fun episode. I really like the episodes where they don't just talk about the business side of Sonder. It's always a really cool peek behind the curtain when they do, but I love when they have these episodes to where they're just having fun conversations with their coworkers who are also their friends and part of the Sonder family. So definitely check it out. And did you need another beer before we get into the next podcast?
Oh, yeah. By the way, everybody, look, I mean, I just want everyone to know, we really drink when we do these shows. I mean, I know all of you who listen, maybe you listen to other podcasts and, they say, hey, we're getting together and we're talking about craft beer and, maybe they never talk about what they're drinking.
Right. I mean, perfect example, Shift Beers and the Newport Report, our friends up in Canada. There is so much talk about drinking, but do they actually drink on the shows?
Yeah.
It's to be determined.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. We do, though.
We do.
This is true. And we do this for you. We do this for you, the audience, so that you can know what's on tap here or what they have here or, what we like to enjoy.
Yeah.
And hopefully you can enjoy the same.
All right. Let's take a real quick break, and then we are going to come back to you with the Brew Skies Happy Hour. We made it back.
Hello, everyone.
And we have a brand new beer, Marco. Oh.
Yes.
Okay, so as you heard, we have a beer from the cooler, not from the tap list. And this is the most exquisite of beers. Marco saw this in the cooler and went,
oh, yeah.
We absolutely need this beer.
The Banquet beer.
Look at how clean and crisp it looks in the glasses.
When's the last time you were at a banquet, Julia?
Last time that you bought one here at BC's.
Well, you had one. But have you been to a banquet?
Have I been to a banquet? Oh, God. It has been quite a long time. So
yeah. Next time we do a live Truth Beer pod, maybe there should be a banquet involved somehow.
You know what? So if you guys can contribute to, monetarily to Truth Beer and Podsequences, which I will cover at the end of the episode.
Yes.
Maybe for the next Truth Beer Pod episode, which we're actually talking about having either
live,
later this summer or early fall, something like that. Maybe we can get enough money to have a food truck here at the same time.
Ooh.
Or convince one of the producers here at BC's Bottle in Montgomery to hire one for us.
or smoke something and bring it in.
Ooh, I mean, we read on the list. We already know that they're good at smoking hogs.
That's right.
Didn't the first time they do that, there was like a monsoon?
Yeah, there was a monsoon the night before.
And like producer Brian spent the night here to ensure.
Yeah, because the
Good
propane.
God. Yep, it didn't. There were things.
Oh my God!
What was that on? Was that on a Cincy Brewcast or a Shift Beers episode that he
No,
told that
was
story?
on. I think it was on Sonder Stories.
Was it on Sonder Stories that he told? Okay.
I think so.
Okay, so if you search for BCs in any of the podcasts that we cover, producer Brian tells the entire story about their first attempt at smoking a full pig. So yeah, we're going to be drinking Coors Banquet. Shout out to Lee, one of the best podcast guests and friends.
That's right.
Of all of the podcasts in Cincinnati.
Yes.
While we talk about Brew Sky's Happy Hour, episode 5, with none other than Ken fucking Grossman.
That's right.
From Sierra Nevada. I mean,
Ken Grossman.
look at Bret and Mike talking to freaking billionaires, which is kind of a direct quote from them at the end of the episode, but I'm
Right.
going to pretend that I'm, doing that. But I'll tell you what, these shows, these episodes have been absolutely amazing.
They have.
And I do want to add a little disclaimer to the beginning of this recap. I know that I have said before, season 2 of Brew Sky's Happy Hour, they did a season before this that was during COVID. They talked to different businesses in and around the Cincinnati area, nationally, about how COVID was impacting the business. I can't find those episodes anywhere now, so I'm not sure if they moved to a different platform and they just didn't bring over the first season. So if you're looking for them, I do not know if they exist out there anymore. But it doesn't matter because this season of Brew Skies is beyond phenomenal. I am always just shaking with anticipation, waiting for the next episode after listening to whatever has just recently come out, and this one was no different. One of the first things, we typically don't do counts on shows.
Not all shows.
Other than Shift Beers.
There's one show that we do a count. But yeah, the way that this pod opened, it sort of begged for a count. They were having a good time right at the beginning,
with the introduction,
which was fun. So Julia, you have a count?
Yeah. So Bret and Mike, I have a Mike count. I also have a Bret count, but it wasn't as impressive as the Mike count. The name Mike in the first 2 minutes of this episode was said 8 times.
Ah, very good.
The name Bret was only mentioned twice.
So
you two may need to have a
clear-
conversation about that.
Yeah.
But that's all right. One of the cool things they started this episode with before they started their interview with Ken Grossman is, if you had a Mount Rushmore of craft beer, who would be on it? They mentioned Jack McAuliffe,
Yeah.
Fritz Maytag,
They mentioned them, but
Ken Grossman. They didn't necessarily say that they would make it on their Mount Rushmore.
Right.
But I thought that was, and again, you guys need to listen to this episode. You need to listen to all the episodes. They are amazing.
really good. Really
I don't
good. And the thing is, it's a history lesson. It's a audible history lesson
Right.
from the sources of this contemporary craft beer revolution and the
modern day, right?
and the curator of these artifacts and history going into the Smithsonian it's up to date. So it's just been really great. And the other thing that I love is, I mean, somebody like we in a previous podcast talked about the esteemed beer writer John Hall, and I listened to many things that John Hall puts out from a podcast perspective, and I follow John Hall on Twitter, and I look into a lot of the things that he writes and talks about. But I'm really, really, really happy that Bret and might get to talk to people that make time for somebody like John Hall, because to me, Michael has written many books about the history of Cincinnati craft beer, and he's
And also, I don't want to say founding, but also encouraging the continuance of Bachfest.
Right.
Things that are Cincinnati staples.
Cincinnati staples.
Right.
And then Bret, who is somebody who is just blazing a trail of just delicious beers and pushing and innovating to where there was an innovation that was talked about in their latest release. And
unless you're Fritz Maytag, and then you may not find their innovation as delicious as the rest of us do.
But these two guys coming together are certainly a force. Locally is not paying them enough respect, so they're a force in craft beer, in my opinion, and also in my opinion, they're really putting together one of the most fun and intriguing interview-based and history podcasts right now.
I would agree. So to get into more in depth into this specific episode, they're talking to Ken Grossman, who, if you're not familiar with the name, he is the founder, still owner of Sierra Nevada.
I believe he's taken a step back recently, very recently.
Very, very recently.
Basically, a step back, I think, from listening to one of John Hall's podcasts was he's taken a step back and been more of a brewery advocate, a face that does things like he was doing with Bret and Mike, was telling the story and getting the history of Sierra Nevada out there.
Right, and his part in American craft beer. One of the things that I never knew, even when he was mentioned in previous episodes with like Jack McAuliffe and Fritz Maytag, he started homebrewing back in '69, which means he was 14. And you can listen to the episode and fact check me, go for it. When he started homebrewing, which it was illegal at the time, but no one really was, prosecuting anyone for homebrewing. It was basically, hey, you're not supposed to do that, and
there weren't.
Then they kind of turned a blind eye and
there weren't
away.
Any raids, of
people's garages or
homebrewing.
Exactly. One of the neatest things. The whole episode was amazing. All of these episodes have been absolutely amazing. I feel like I say the exact same thing every time we have an episode of theirs to recap because they blow my mind. It's ridiculous how much information and how much history that I am learning from them.
Well, and the other thing is, too, our show puts a little bit of a spin on everything.
Sure.
And we've been very straight-laced in the way that we talk about this podcast. I think out of respect for the job that Bret and Mike are doing, but also out of respect for the history of the information from the people that made it, the people that actually created that legacy. So we will try to find our own way to put our own spin on some of these things. But
like the mic count.
Oh, sure, like the mic count.
Yeah.
But listening to Ken Grossman talk about his early days of Sierra Nevada, even his encounters with Fritz Maytag and Jack McAuliffe.
Right.
And actually, that was a lot of the early part of the podcast, which is where questions were asked about the two of them and similarities and differences, and then what he wanted out of his brewery because of those differences. And by the way, he didn't start with a brewery. He started with a homebrew shop.
Correct. One of the really neat parts of his talk about his history, his starting things with Sierra Nevada, is they had a bottle filler that Ken had bought from Fritz Maytag.
Yep.
That same bottle filler that he probably bought. Let's see, the Sierra Nevada business plan was written in 78, so in the 80s is when Sierra Nevada really took place. So this bottle filler was probably in use in the 70s, if not the 60s, with Fritz. Ken Grossman bought it for use at Sierra Nevada. He believes it's still in use today.
Yes.
At Mad River Brewing, which means it has filled potentially millions.
Oh, well,
easily,
Has to be.
Yeah, of bottles of beer. So the next time if you happen to find a bottled beer from Mad River Brewing, it could have been bottled using the same bottle filler that was used in the very early days of
craft beer innovation.
Of craft beer in the U.S. And it's like, that is so freaking cool. Like how...
That bottle filler should probably be in the Smithsonian.
It should be in the Smithsonian. Yes. So Dr. Teresa McCullough, if you listen to our podcast, I'm sure you do.
I'm sure she does. Yeah.
Reach out to Mad River Brewing and see if you can get that bottle filler as part of the Smithsonian collection. Because
that's great advice.
That would be super cool.
And what's also great advice on top of listening to our podcast is seeing if you could get the bottle filler. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. In the earlier parts of Sierra Nevada, they used to charge a deposit on their glass bottles, which a lot of places did. There are some states, and I think some parts of Canada, Mexico, that still charge a deposit fee, 5 cents, 25 cents, whatever, for glass bottles. He would be digging through restaurant garbage and recycling centers for long neck bottles to make sure they had enough to fill to resell their beer, because they couldn't guarantee that even with the deposit fee they charged, they would get those bottles back.
Same thing happens with kegs.
Sure,
in today's world,
yeah.
like you have so many kegs out in the wild. I mean, everybody pays a deposit on them, and you get some putz that decides they're gonna, cut it in half and
make a grill out of it. Yeah.
Make a grill out of it, or turn it into a urinal or something like that. But
can you ever picture Justin from Sonder digging through the garbage for an empty keg so that Sonder can keep refilling? Can clean it and refill it to be able to continue distributing to the people that want their beer. That's what Ken did.
No.
Right.
No.
Right. So the fact that he, it shows just
it's not beyond Justin. I just can't imagine it because of the different state of the businesses, right? It's because
he'd have Danny do it, wouldn't he?
Probably.
Maybe. Okay.
Probably.
Okay.
But it's different state of the businesses, right? When Ken Grossman's starting Sierra Nevada, transitioning from this homebrew shop, there weren't 10,000 small craft breweries, in the United States. There was so few, and you had to drive to distances to get to, Anchor Steam, or to get to go see Jack and figure out how you wanted to go about this. But there were still difficulties.
Sure, absolutely.
And not that there's not today, but Bret has made it. He had alluded to it in a few of the previous episodes that in today's market, it's still tough to get funding for a brewery, but it's not
as tough.
It's not as tough because it's a little more, I don't want to call it mainstream. It's not out of left field, where back then you weren't getting bank financing.
Right. Banks were like, you want to start a brewery? You want us to give you money to make and sell beer.
So after they talk a little bit about Fritz and Jack, they go into transitioning from that homebrew shop into a brewery, the struggles with funding and financing, and
which were really amazing to hear the struggles that they had,
And not only that, how long after they were a business that they still struggled with the bank financing. Years after proven sales.
Yes, years of proven sales, and the banks are still like, I don't think it's a good idea for us to give you money, even though you have shown guaranteed profits, that you have been able to prove that this is a business model that works.
Right.
A beyond amazing conversation. Again, because this is more of an educational interview recap, there's not a ton that I want to cover, because I don't want to tell you about the entire, you as in the listeners, about the entire episode. You guys, if you're listening to us, you like craft beer, you need to listen to all of these episodes. They are amazing.
They did not get the chance to talk about the Sierra Nevada facility in Asheville. And I hear that is like the Disneyland of breweries.
Breweries, I have too. And my Josh and I are trying to plan a trip to Asheville at some point.
Well, I mean,
and that's
WTF, Julia.
I know.
WTF. My wife has a grandmother that doesn't live that far from there.
Well, then we'll stay at her house. That's what you were saying, right? You were offering up her residence for this. Maybe that's not the direction you were taking this in. Because, I mean...
Exactly.
Let's see. What are another couple real quick points that I want to mention? We were just handed 2 samples of a dark, delicious-looking beer, so we need to wrap this up to try that. Figure out what it is.
What brewery it's from.
Make sure that you can drink it.
Yeah, I probably can, but that's okay.
Let's see.
That means you
There
get 2
was-
samples.
There was a really cool statement made about craft or independent breweries versus like the big corporate ones that I'm going to read verbatim. I'm probably not getting the words perfectly correct. So being independent gives you more control of your destiny, but it also creates other challenges, such as your competitors are no longer those mom and pop breweries, those independent breweries. They're big nationwide, if not global, corporations and conglomerates that you're competing with as far as sales of your beer. I thought that was really, really cool. And then they also mentioned Sierra Nevada was probably or is probably considered the birth of American craft beer. Not just craft beer, but American craft beer.
Right, leaning into the hops, American hops, the way that Sierra Nevada Pale Ale is a hoppy pale ale. It was the probably mind-blowingly hoppy back then. When now you can sit and get 12 of them, or get a pack of 12 of them, and you're gonna make it a day, and
right, exactly.
But that was like a scorch your tongue type of beer back then,
right?
But it would blow your mind at the same time.
Sure.
And I love it. I love that beer. Sierra Nevada Pale Ale's an amazing beer.
My God, these episodes have been beyond fantastic. If you are not listening to Brew Skies, I don't know what's wrong with you. Definitely do that. We had a milk stout, an imperial milk stout handed to us, so we're going to take a real quick break and try this and I'll talk about it since you will die if you drink it.
Yeah, I can't drink that.
Right after this, and then we'll wrap up with Shift Beer. So give us just a minute and we'll be right back. Okay, so this beer that we were handed by one of the absolutely amazing regulars here at BC's Bottle Lodge Montgomery is...
Who moved out of state.
Oh, he did move out of state. I was wondering why.
He moved to Texas. He actually used to tend bar over at M1.
Oh, okay. Nice. I mean, shame he's not here anymore, but if this means he's going to stop by on occasion and bring amazing non-local beers.
Yeah.
This is from Lakewood Brewing. It is Bourbon Barrel Temperance. It is an imperial milk stout, which means Marco can't even smell it or he's going to have the shits for days.
Right.
So I am sorry, Marco.
Can't do it.
It is an ale brewed with lactose, sugar, and vanilla, and it is aged in oak bourbon barrels. Even for a day as warm as today, this is such a smooth and creamy and delicious milk stout. The barrel aging is, for my personal taste, perfect. You get that bourbon bite to it, but it doesn't feel like you're getting all bourbon and you're missing out on the beer component of it, because that's one of my complaints about barrel-aged beer is if I want to drink bourbon, I'm going to buy bourbon. If I want a beer, I want a beer. So I like that this is, it still tastes like a milk stout, but you get that bourbon, that barrel-aged. It's not even a bite at the end. It's just incredibly smooth, incredibly good. This is amazing.
I have a very important question.
Yes.
Is she thick, though?
She is not as thick as you would think.
Good.
For a milk stout.
I don't know why.
She's thick, but it's not like a motor. I'm not chewing this beer. It is still more a liquid than a solid.
Oh, that's great.
This is beautiful. This is absolutely beautiful.
I don't know why so many of the loudest 1% want to have a beer that just when you go to pour it, pours so slow that it's
right.
Like,
it's the motor oil.
Yeah,
or like this is dark, but you can still see like a little bit of a light shine kind of at the bottom. It's not motor oil. It's not something to where. Again, you don't know if you're pouring a solid or a liquid. So Lakewood Brewing, Bourbon Barrel Temperance. If you happen to see this anywhere, I don't know why you would. It's from Garland, Texas. But if you happen to see it, if you know anyone that's in the Garland, Texas area,
or head over there. Just go.
It's a quick drive. But
18 hours maybe.
God damn, this is good. I'm glad I only have as much as I have because I would get in trouble with this incredibly quickly. But yeah, let me go ahead and thank the amazing person that dropped off these samples, and then we get to roll into shift beers.
All right, let's do it.
We'll be right back. I may have made a mistake during our break. So Marco poured us both a Coors, which is perfectly fine. That's cool. I have no issue whatsoever with that beer. I still had a little bit of my Jackie O's to finish before I started in on the Coors. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Then we were handed the samples of the bourbon barrel-aged milk stout from Lakewood Brewing, which was fucking phenomenal. I am so sad that you were not able to try it, but
It's okay.
Really good. I still had you bought a fucking stovepipe of Coors, so like I literally have a full pint of Coors to drink. So I decided to spice it up a little bit because that's what you do when you're about to cover shift beers.
What'd you do, Julia?
I had producer Brian add a strawberry Blox to my beer, which may or may not be a terrible idea, but you know what?
I'm sure it's fine.
It's been done. I mean, I could either, he gave me a spoon so I could keep stirring it up. I could either like chew on this, 9%? 8, 9, something like that, whatever it is, block of strawberry, artificial strawberry. There is no way in hell this is real strawberry.
Sure it is. No, there's no chance.
I believe Blox is a Cincinnati-based company.
It is.
So I do not want to say anything against. We have had Blox in PBR before, so this is nothing against them. But I do not think that this
Maybe Matt will get them on Hustle and Brews.
This is probably not natural strawberry flavoring. So I could either chew on this block of Blox.
Sounds delicious.
Or I'm going to just slowly stir it into my Coors while I drink it, and holy shit, I'm glad we still have a couple hours left before BC's closes.
Oh, many hours. We're doing well.
We're doing good. So let's keep this streak going. Shift Beers.
Yep.
One of the most fun shows that we get to listen to every week. Episode 81, Lawnmower Beers, which I know you and I have a lot to talk about with this one.
Absolutely.
It was the whole gang. The entire crew was together again.
Yay.
You had Josh. You said that like you were upset.
No, I'm not upset.
No, okay.
I'm glad they're all together.
Good. We had Josh, Beth, Chris, and Brian. Everyone was together, and there was something loud going on in the background of the place that they don't work at as they were doing their thing.
I think they were back at the place that they don't work at.
It's probably trivia night. Maybe that'll make it on the wheel of Brewery of the Weeks. When we spin it, it is purely random, so it's not like we're trying to avoid them.
It's Jake.
Well,
Jake is here.
Jake? Oh my God!
I've never had them.
Oh my God! Okay,
Holy shit.
guys.
All right,
Guys. We're going to take a super quick break. We're probably going to maybe set up another mic, but Jake just stopped by with Root Beer Stand burgers, which we have said that we've never had before, so we'll be right back. We made it back once again. This was a longer break than we normally take.
Yeah, this was fun, though.
I think the only other break that we have taken on the podcast outside of this one that was longer was when the Gnome showed up and we had a 2-hour dead space in the recording file when we were just hanging out and talking.
You as the listeners did not know, but we certainly
But me as an
felt the
editor,
pinch.
I definitely knew. We're going to talk about the final episode or the final podcast that we have to talk about for this episode, Shift Beers.
But first, I want to thank. I want to thank Jake, regular at Higher Gravity, for bringing in some Root Beer Stand burgers and
delicious,
coming out.
So good.
Hang out. He's listening right now to the pod as we record.
Yeah.
Thank
Live
you for that.
studio audience, if you can say that.
Yeah. Thank you, Jake, regular at Higher Gravity, for doing such.
And for Shift Beers, if you hear the dryer running in the background, someone's playing pinballs. So
that's right.
We may have some extra background noise. I apologize.
Got a pinball wizard back there. So, yes, Shift Beers. Go ahead, Julia.
Episode 81, Lawnmower Beers. We both have, you have a new beer that
Yeah.
you're drinking.
Yeah.
I have the same beer you poured me before, but I added to it.
Right. We did discuss that right before the break, that Julia's Blox has now dissolved.
It has.
And
So I now have a
uh,
fully strawberry blocked Coors Banquet, while you have...
I have High Giant, which is a collaboration between High Grain and Nine Giant.
Excellent.
Beer that I have had before, and Jake has had before as well at Higher Gravity. It's on tap here. Come get it at BC's Bottle Lodge Montgomery, our gracious podcast host. It's number 7 on the board, number 1 in your hearts.
Hell yeah. All right. So episode 81, Lawnmower Beers. The whole team's together, all 4 of them. No one is missing. They were actually remembered to invite everyone to this recording session.
Good job. Good job,
I think it was
everyone.
right after work, so they should have all been there. But, you know, that's neither here or there.
Right.
We found out that their shift beer for this episode was the red, white, and blueberry Natter Days, which
Something like that.
I have not yet had. I know you're not a fan.
I mean,
I love my Natter Days. It's just not your choice of a lawnmower or a summer beer.
no, I mean, I'm not craving to pick it up. I don't need to run out and
do.
grab it. But if I'm at, Julia's house and that's all she has, well, that's what
You'll
I'm
drink
drinking.
it.
Yeah, I mean, it's I'm no hate.
They mentioned that this specific variant of Natter Days tastes like SpongeBob's eyeballs.
Yeah.
They went
yeah.
into it a little more than that. And again, we're not going to spoil exactly what happened in the show for you. But the red, white, and blueberry Natter Days taste like SpongeBob's eyeballs, which
I mean, sounds
doesn't
delicious.
deter me from wanting to pick up a 30 rack of it.
No.
when I see it.
Do you
Yeah.
remember that show, Extreme Cheapskates?
No.
Yeah.
Jake does.
Jake does.
I do not.
Extreme Cheapskates. There was this one guy. He was such a cheapskate. He told his wife that they would only live on money that they found for a certain period of time, and he
Like
would,
in the couch cushions and shit?
he would
that
go to
kinda?
restaurants and look in the banquette seats and go to different places, and he collected enough change to where he went to a butcher shop and bought a cow's head. He negotiated a price on like a cow's head or I forget what head it was.
What
But
the
anyways,
hell?
he
And you're
cooked it up.
comparing that to Natter Days.
Well, he could. I'm getting there. He cooked it up, and one of the things that was still there was the eyeball. So it was like the oyster of the experience. So anyway, this guy, this extreme cheapskate,
Extreme cheesecake.
cheap skate.
We've had beers.
We've had beers.
This is what happens at the end of the show.
By the way, he kind of grossed me out. But nonetheless,
Anything with eyeballs.
If you can find the series, by the way, I kind of think worth the watch because people are strange, and it goes into how people are strange. But
right,
anyway,
there we
so I'm connecting. Boom, full circle, eyeball,
Yes.
eyeball. Go.
They also mentioned that they put out a call to action for ideas for Patreon episodes, which I need
Yes.
to show you
Yeah.
the latest Patreon episode.
Can't wait.
We will do that after we're done recording this. Yes, I share my Patreon login with Marco.
Fucking deal with it.
Deal with it. I mean, it's something that we do. He doesn't have my login. It's not like he's doing shit under my name.
No.
I show him my phone.
Oh wait, hold on. Liam Neeson. No.
I'm telling you, that Liam Neeson is spot on each and every time. I love it. I love it so much.
Thank you.
But they put out a call to action about needing ideas for more Patreon episodes. I feel terrible. I had a list written out of what I thought would be awesome for them to do, and I just forgot to send it to them. So I did send it to Jangle, so they now have my
Good.
ideas.
Yes, good.
They did say on the show Lee was the only other person that submitted ideas. So please go to or DM whatever.
Oh, and what was Lee's best idea?
Poop beers.
Poop beers.
Which he even retexted them like, I don't know what I meant by that, but don't do it. And it's like, hey, you know
They're
what?
like, no, it's too late.
It's too
happening.
late. It's happened. So if you're not already subscribed to the Shift Beers Patreon, you may get a poop beer episode in the future, and no one knows what that means. But
Sounds
subscribe or
I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
CC, very intrigued.
But yeah, definitely tag them at Shift Beers on all the social media platforms if you have an idea for a Patreon episode for them, because my God, that could be absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
Let's see. It was Brian's birthday last week. Well, I guess technically
was it
two-ish
2
weeks ago,
two-ish weeks
from
ago?
when we're recording this.
Yeah.
He is now old enough to rent a car.
Congratulations,
Good job,
Brian.
Brian.
And as long as your electric bill is up to date, because I think you need to take
need
one of those when you go to rent a car.
The first time, just to
Yeah,
prove
just
that,
electric bill up to date. And
Yeah.
congratulations, Brian, on being that age. So, and yeah, I think it was 2 weeks ago. I'm pretty sure that I Facebook messaged him happy birthday.
Same.
You know,
but between the time that they recorded and posted the recording and then listed the recording to us, they just posted that episode yesterday, but Brian's birthday was like a week.
It was back in
prior.
January.
So, yeah, pretty much. So we're
Pretty
not
much.
too far behind the curve there.
Yeah.
They talked about Twisted Tea tips. So, because Josh did not have another Josh's Twisted Tea tip,
Guess what Truth Beer Pod did?
I have another TBP TTT, Truth Beer Pod Twisted Tea tip.
Well, we tweeted one out too, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah.
We absolutely did. But I have another one. I'll
let's
tweet
go.
this out too.
No, let's go.
If it's a great idea in Josh's head, it is not a great idea.
Okay, there you go.
I mean,
Twisted Tea tip, folks.
there you go. Until Jangle owns it and creates a Twitter account and posts at least once a month. Again, that's all we're asking. One Twisted Tea tip a month. We're going to steal it.
I'm
We'll
gonna do it
gladly
again.
give it back. Oh,
I'm going to do it again. Wait.
another TBP
Look,
TTT.
Look at me. I'm the captain now.
Oh, Marco is the captain now. Let's see, what else? Concert talk. They talked a bit about concerts that they went to during drinking.
I didn't know Yanni was still touring.
That clarinet knows no bounds.
I had
And
no idea about it.
he still has the lung capacity
Also, Debbie
to
Deb.
just hold those notes.
Yeah,
Not
Debbie
really,
Deb.
not really my thing, but I mean, whatever the guys and gal enjoy. Have you ever thought about, and I tweeted this at one point, I forget if it was under my account or the Truth Beer Pod account, a band, like if podcasts were bands,
Oh,
who would they be?
okay.
The only one that I am dead certain on is Shift Beers,
Okay.
the band Red Fang. If you watch any of their videos, you will go, yes, that is 100% what Shift Beers does with our Patreon money. They're great.
Well, who would be Cincy Brewcast?
See, I've been toying with that. So we know that like Sonder Stories would be Kenny Chesney.
Okay.
I mean, that's just kind of a given. I think that Hustle and Brews would be like Nipsey Hussle. Cincy Brewcast is still one of those. I'm not.
The Eagles?
It could be the Eagles. I haven't nailed one down personally, but I like the Eagles. The Eagles, or there's a band that the Gnome has mentioned a couple times.
Ace of Base.
He saw the sign.
Yeah.
And he started multiple podcasts.
Right.
He saw the sign. Life is demanding with his terrorist kids without understanding.
That's
so
right.
that
Very
is
good.
very, very much.
Could be.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Okay.
Ace of Base.
Ace of Base.
Let's see. Okay, the main part of this episode, Lawnmower beers, the main topic.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
One of the things that they mentioned reminded me of a sponsorship that has not yet been fully disclosed by the Gnome Cincy Brewcast. So Shift Beers, we're definitely talking about your show, but I needed to interject a little bit about Cincy Brewcast on this.
Manscaped?
They mentioned in Shift Beers that nothing is better than paying someone to mow your lawn, which reminded me of something that the Gnome is toying around with as far as a segment or a sponsorship for. You kind of gave it away, but for a potential sponsor of the show,
Right.
Nothing is better than paying someone to mow your lawn, except for someone paying you to mow your own lawn. Manscaped, the new host, or I'm sorry, not host. Good God,
Sponsor.
the new sponsor of Cincy Brewcast. So
Yeah.
I mean, he's still playing around with like the sound clips for that one. May or may not happen, but.
Yeah.
You and I have a very similar feeling about mowing lawns.
And Chris.
And Chris, you need to just pay someone to mow your lawn. It gives you plenty of free time to do other things like drink.
The absolute joy joy of driving down the street into the driveway and seeing that somebody has mowed your lawn is amazing. And the fact that I don't have to go outside, I don't have to
deal with the humidity.
I don't have to deal with the bugs. Somebody else mowed my lawn, and I'm happy to hand over this monetary exchange for the reciprocation of this joy. It's amazing.
So freaking perfect. Jake, so producer Jake is sitting at the end of the table here.
Great news, I don't have to mow a lawn.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
Because you're in the building,
nice.
right? You're in the building?
I'm in the building. They do it for me, which is really nice.
Do you try to keep it real and maybe once in a while go find a lawn to cut?
Hell no.
Right. For reals, brah.
Never
That's
been
what
a
I'm
lawnmower.
talking about.
So what you do is you go down to Higher Gravity Summit Park and you enjoy a beer while watching the lawn care team mow Summit Park. That's good enough for you, right?
They turn golf on for me at Higher Gravity, and I just watch that because it's already a mowed lawn. You know, we're getting right to the point here.
I'm telling you.
I tell you what, I don't understand why people don't recognize that this block of time that you're out there pushing a mower or riding a mower or edging or weed eating or all this stuff is time that you could spend doing other stuff.
Exactly.
I don't understand why you haven't come to this realization.
Some people like it, and that's fine.
No, I think what this is what is that syndrome when you've been abducted and you go through
syndrome.
Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah,
I think you've got this syndrome where
you've been told for so long you need to enjoy it.
Yeah, this is what it is. You need to enjoy it. That you go out there and you're like, no, I really enjoy cutting my lawn. It's like no, you've just been conditioned to enjoy your lawn. What you need to do is pay someone else to do this damn shit and go out and enjoy your damn self.
All right,
it's
so
not as expensive as you would think either.
Exactly.
That's right.
I used to pay somebody to do it when I did have a lawn. It was something when I got older I was scared of, but it was so easy, almost like dry cleaning. I didn't know how to do that till I was older. It's not as hard as you think.
Yeah, you just give them your credit card or Venmo, whatever, and you're
there you
just
go.
like, there you go.
And you come back later and it's done.
Hell yeah.
It's amazing. Do you want to give away some of the beers that they were talking about, or do we just want the listeners to go and check out the assortment of what they're calling the lawnmower beers?
So I only have 2 written down because I didn't want to spoil the episode for the listeners by mentioning. I mean, it's in the show notes. If you read the show notes,
Look, I mean,
you
don't have to take
going on.
too big of a leap. Look, it's lawnmower beers, right?
Right. The 2 things that I didn't mention is. 1, first and foremost, Natterdays is the bestest lawnmower beer ever, and you can fight me over it. Mark is not even looking at me in the eye anymore.
I agree with Marco too. I hate to tell you that. Little too sweet for me. I can only have 1 or 2, and if I got a big lawn, I'm going to need 4 or 5 probably.
But Natterdays you can crush 4 or 5, and it's not an issue.
But it's too sweet.
It's a little sweet.
It's okay to be wrong. That's fine.
I'm used to it.
It's fine.
Yeah. It's your opinion, but you're wrong, according to Julia. That's fine.
And the only other beer that they had as a lawnmower beer that I had a specific note about was the 50 West Pink Lemonade, and that's only because they found a continuity error in a video that the Gnome put out about this beer and what they noticed about that beer when they poured it into their cups.
Yes.
It was.
That's true.
Yeah. So.
That's true. Well,
this could be a controversy. Did Gnome use a filter or any kind of special editing or food coloring, anything like that when he did his short video on Instagram and YouTube? Or was it just luck of the draw? Some cans of 50 West Pink Lemonade look different than others.
I got no one to hold them, no one to fold them. I don't know how that fits this exactly, but we're going to run with it.
Yeah.
So there's regular lemonade, and then they put out pink lemonade.
Pink lemonade very recently, and they did the pink lemonade as one of their lawnmower beers.
Gotcha.
And it sounded like they liked it better than the regular lemonade, but there weren't any direct comparisons in the show, so that's pure hearsay, but it's my truth.
Yeah.
That they liked the pink lemonade better than the regular hard lemonade.
I did a beer tasting 2 weeks ago at a place. And one of the beers I took was the regular lemonade, not the pink lemonade.
Okay.
It was received well.
It wasn't bad, yeah.
It was received well.
I had no issues with it.
Have you had it, Jake?
I have not, but I guess my question would be, is it more of a heavier lemonade with a little bit of carbonation, beer, or is it beer with a light taste of lemonade?
It's definitely more of a
It's a hard lemonade.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it's not a beer trying to with lemon flavor or anything like that.
Right.
The carbonation level I thought was pretty decent. It
Yeah.
wasn't super
Yeah.
carbonated, so it was definitely more like drinking a lemonade. Mm-hmm. You can just get wasted off of it if you drink enough of it fast enough. So
sure.
it's good. It's good. I want to try the pink lemonade version.
Yeah.
I had the Rheingeist ones. They're fairly new. Are we allowed to bring up
The RG Bevs?
Absolutely. the
Yes,
RG
and
Bevs, yeah.
They have a lemonade one that is not sweet. It's not like a
Right,
Mike's Hard or
right.
something. And I had a few of those on the golf course, and those were great.
Have you
I-
tried the Geist tea?
Yeah, that's a good segue
mixing the
because
Geist,
there
yes.
is they do speak about the tea, the Geist tea.
I didn't, and that's because I actually enjoy twisted teas.
Okay,
Yeah, a little
okay.
shame, but no.
No, I mean,
Good
whatever you
stuff.
like,
And
you
so
like.
there's ship
We are
beers.
not. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Ship Beers enjoys twisted teas.
I definitely think so. I'm one of those weird people. I love hot tea,
Okay.
but if it's iced tea, unless it's super sweet, like is it green leaf, gold leaf, whatever it is that's bottled, that's overly sugared, whatever, I can drink that, but typical iced tea, I just don't like. It's not sweet
Didn't we
enough
try
for
it
me.
a week ago?
No, we did not try the
2
Geist
weeks
tea.
ago?
No, we did not. No.
I was here with Ben, and we had. You weren't here.
No.
Producer Ben.
No,
Geist
no,
tea?
you were here without me. I did not have the Geist tea. No.
Ben's gone. I'm the captain now.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Jake, you are welcome to be producer anytime you want. For that.
Great.
But no.
Awesome.
So I tried the Geist tea. I picked up 2 of the single cans the last time we
Yeah.
recorded 2 times ago, but
Yeah,
we
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
open it. Shift Beers did the thing where they mixed the 2 together, and some of them liked more lemonade than the Geist tea, and a couple of the other folks on Shift Beers liked more tea than lemonade. And whatever you want to do is fine.
It's like people have different opinions. It's wild.
Imagine
you
that.
know?
And it's all fine as long as you're just enjoying yourself responsibly. Whatever. Who cares? Again,
That's it.
I love Natter Days. Marco doesn't. That's his problem. That's no offense, but that's kind of your problem.
It is. But if I ever get any, I know who to bring it to. We can trade.
I will gladly take any Natter Days that you have that you don't want to drink.
Well,
Do what you want to do with it. I mean, really, that's what it
Yeah.
all boils down to. Do what you want to do with it.
I'm glad everyone understands your platform, and
Right or wrong as it may be, it's fine.
No,
it's fine.
It's all good. It's all good. What you got? What's next, Julia?
There are, let's see, 3 other things that I have before the drinking game
Okay.
portion of our Shift Beers recap. 1, the challenge that Chris and Josh are doing health-wise.
Oh, congratulations.
Hell to the yeah, whatever I can do to support you guys. Like if it's just texting you randomly saying, drink water, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
I am 100% in for it. I think it's an amazing challenge that you're taking on
Sure.
with each other.
Or I could send
So
them pictures of cheeseburgers.
I don't know if that's exactly what they need.
Have they ever had any fans bring them cheeseburgers?
Oh.
I don't know if they have.
Probably not.
You know,
Oh, do you have the
cheeseburger.
willpower?
Regular Jakes.
Do you have the willpower?
Oh my goodness. Let's see, what else do I have? In this episode, they had a triple bussin' no cap
Yes,
beer.
they did. Yes, they did.
It is one that they had mentioned in a previous episode, so I don't want to
Yeah.
spoil what it
Yeah.
was or what brewery it's from.
And a brewery that we covered several
bonus episodes ago.
several bonus episodes
Oh my
ago.
God.
That was
Yes.
phenomenal.
Yes. Last note that I had was they have a new Patreon goal, and it's to buy Narrow Path Fooder.
That's right.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
support Shift Beers at Shift Beers everywhere, shiftbee.rs.com or jadrinkin.com or shiftbeers.com. shiftbeerspodcast.com. That's what it is. Support them everywhere. Give them some money so they can buy Narrow Path of Fooder, because that means that Narrow Path can make more fucking phenomenal aged beers. Your glass is empty, and we need to end with a cheers without empty glasses.
Oh, yeah, that's part of it.
All right. Well, producer Brian is getting producer Jake and Marco some new beer. Marco, do you want to tell everyone about our favorite part of Shift Beers, which is the game that we have for
The
Shift
game
Beers?
about drinks? I'd love
Hell
to,
yeah,
Julia.
let's do it.
Yeah, so those of you who've been with us for a while know what I'm talking about. Those of you new to the show, here we go. And thank you all for your listenership.
Yes.
So there's one locally based podcast that we have created a drinking game around, and that's Shift Beers. And here's what it is. When you start Shift Beers, and you get your setup ready, and we count all the audible burps. And what we do is we tally up the number of burps. We go off of a 2-ounce drink sample, and we let you know how many total ounces that is, and then how many pints. And then that lets you know how many beers during the show from start to finish you would have had to drink when you're listening to Shift Beers.
Yes. So this episode, to quote Beth, holy mafuck, they almost broke their previous record. They had a total of 79 burps, which is 158 ounces, which is 9.87 pints of beer that you would have to drink.
Hey!
Listening to this episode of Shift Beers, the only time that they have gotten more than this was episode 67, which was Drinking Beers with Danny from Sonder Stories, where they hit a solid 80 burps during the episode.
Whoa.
Good job, guys. That is a hell of a lot of drinking in not a super long episode.
Wasn't. I mean, it was
It was average length episode. Yeah, it
episode.
Right.
A lot of beer.
Lots of beer.
A lot of beer
Lots
if
and
you were
lots of
doing
beer.
the drinking game. And maybe one of these times somebody does a drinking game, let us know. Hopefully you're at a safe place. It doesn't need to be your house. It could be your mom's house. Or if you live at your mom's house, it could be there.
In the basement.
In the basement.
We don't care.
But if somebody does that, please communicate with both of our shows. Let us know how that went, what you were drinking, and some progress reports, so to speak, start, middle, end, finish. But yeah, it was a ton of fun. We left out a lot of the fun of this podcast.
Because we want you to listen to it.
Exactly.
So, Marco, is there anything else that we needed to cover before we wrap up this episode of Shift Beers? This episode of Shift Beers, it's our show now, guys. We, as producer Jake said, we are the captains now of Shift Beers.
Well, we're going to wrap up the episode of Shift Beers, but I think we're going to wrap up this episode of Truth Beer Pod.
Hell yeah.
The only thing I'd want to say is that definitely support the podcasts that we listen to.
Absolutely.
And engage with them, interact with them on social media, like, follow, and subscribe. Tell your friends and family about them, but also our show.
Yes.
Things like interacting with Shift Beers by tagging and hashtagging Shift Beers at Shift Beers with your Shift Beers. Certainly is fun and engaging and helps because we do the same. So you can almost in a way engage with us by engaging with them.
It's true. And if you want to engage with us and support our show, we are at Truth Beer Pod on all of the social media platforms. You can email us any of your thoughts, ideas, anything at all, truthbeerpod@gmail.com. If you have any complaints, we haven't had any recently, but if you do have a complaint about our show, send them to @RagingHop on Twitter, and he will get them to us, and we will talk about them with you. Like, subscribe, review, share, do all of the same things that you do for these other podcasts with our podcasts. If you would like to monetarily donate to us so that we can buy more beer and more blocks to put in our beer and potentially upgrade our equipment. And we are trying so hard to do something with video. We just need to figure it out because we don't know what we're doing as far as video content.
Money would help.
You can throw us a couple dollars for that at truthbeerpod.com. There is a nice blue support us link there. Other than that, I think episode 43 is just about wrapped up. So, Marco, producer Jake, producer Brian, thank you so much to everybody for being here, for supporting us. Marco, what are you going to be doing next Tuesday?
So, leading up to Tuesday, I'm going to listen to all the podcasts that are about craft beer, locally based. And then I'm going to come here, BC's Bottle Lodge, Montgomery, next Tuesday and get together with you to give our version of how those went.
Sounds awesome. I will do the same. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We will see you again next week. Cheers,
Cheers,
guys.
everyone.
Cheers.
Cheers.